the NBA has a deal with ESPN, which is very specific. It's a $3 billion deal with ESPN. So they're a little bit more cautious about it. I think we can have a little bit more of an open, honest discussion about it. Yesterday when Raja and I talked about it, it was still sort of fresh, and it is still very much a developing story, and it continues to be a story that will not go away. The way I described it is this is a no-win situation for Adam Silver and the NBA. Where they are now, they cannot come out of this as winners.
He's trying to take the middle road. He's trying to say it's okay for the players to have freedom of expression. He's also apologizing to the billions of people in China who are offended. He's trying to appease the people who are the corporate sponsors in China. Basically, he's trying to answer to all masters. The problem is, in this situation, you have to choose your path. And Adam Silver is smart right now. He has not chosen a path because so far, the paths which have presented themselves all end in game over.
Yeah.
So he's waiting to figure out with his advisors and with consultation. He's going to meet with people. He's going to meet with Chinese Americans. He's going to meet with government officials. He's going to meet with people on both sides of the aisle, PR people, other owners. They are going to take a very calculated approach to this. This is not an example of a DUI, which I'm not downplaying. It's not an example of a domestic violence situation, which I'm not downplaying. This is something that has significant financial impact, significant political impact, and you can't handle that in the course of 24 hours.
No, I think what they desperately need is to get their players out of there. Not from a safety standpoint, but they need all the tensions to de-escalate. They need the regular season to start. Go back to just watching basketball, right? Like that's, I'm sure in his mind, like, can we get there? I think in the U.S., where our attention span is about 15 minutes on stories, right? There's sort of a 24-hour news cycle. That is not the case with this. It is not going away.
It's a slow bleed right now.
It is a slow bleed. He released his initial statement, which did defend Daryl Morey's right to free speech and said, we don't necessarily agree with him, but we respect his right to have his opinion. In our country, we're allowed to do that. And China's CCTV released a statement that said, nope, well, we don't care. We are strongly dissatisfied and opposed Adams' claim to support Morey's rights of free expression. We believe that any speech that challenges national sovereignty and social stability is not within the scope of freedom of speech. And they're right in China, but that's not the way we do things in America.
So I think it's outstanding that China released that statement because that's actually how they feel. So
exactly.
In our world of sports and media here in the U.S., too often, which is why I have a show, I am decoding what athletes and owners and executives do when they take the podium and the things that they say that don't make any sense. What China did is they released a statement that exactly reflects what they feel. It goes against every principle we have, but it doesn't address the business issue. And what Adam Silver and the NBA could have done differently, just now, Danny, they canceled the media availability for the players pregame.
Yep.
There's a game that starts at 7:30 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow between the Lakers
and
the Nets.
Do you think there's any chance that game happens?
Zero.
I don't either.
And they should have canceled it already. You take down the game, you cancel the media session, you cancel all the appearances.
If you're the NBA, you're Adam Silver.
If you're the NBA, you take control of it. You don't let China cancel it, which is what's happening. You don't let the picture of all the signage being taken down.
Which is happening as we speak.
All the promotions that are going on. It's nighttime right now live in China. It is almost 11 o'clock. So right now, all these signs are being taken down, and you don't think the NBA and Adam Silver are huddling right now thinking what to do with the game? I think you take control there. We've got video of it. They're painting over the signs.
Yep. I mean, they are actively erasing the NBA, specifically the Rockets is the sign we're seeing now on the show. If you're listening to the podcast, you know, the Rockets, it is Daryl Morey. Do you, like, if you were Adam Silver, what would you do? Because would you recommend that Morey is fired? Because it does seem to me like China as a state is going to say, we want to see heads roll. Something has to happen. So somebody has to be fired for this to happen. But on the other hand, if you're Adam Silver and you recommend to the Rockets that you do this and the Rockets actually fired Daryl Morey, then you'd have Americans would say, hold on a second. This was just a guy who sent out an innocuous tweet or seemingly innocuous tweet.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where it becomes really dicey. And you have to kind of choose your master here. Which do you want to tick off maybe your American fan base, which is where you're based, or the billions of fans that you have in a communist country? I don't know.
So I don't
think he can fire Daryl Morey, or anybody can.
Daryl Morey will not be the GM of the Houston Rockets in Game 1 of the 2020 season.
So next year.
I believe
what
that.
What if they won the championship?
So it's funny. I said it yesterday in a rehearsal for Nothing Personal that starts on the 14th. I said, hey, Daryl Morey, unless he lifts the Larry O'Brien trophy, he can't survive this. And I thought about it overnight, and I'm not even sure the Larry O'Brien trophy, which means they've won the NBA title. I don't think that can help him. But it's because of the U.S. that would happen. The way it works in China's not calling Adam Silver and saying, fire Daryl Morey.
Right.
China takes it into its own hands. They're covering up the Houston Rockets signs.
They're deleting the NBA.
They're deleting the Rockets, right? Yeah. They don't care if Morey gets fired or not.
You don't think so? You don't think that would appease them?
No. What appeases them, they take into their own hands, and they're doing it. They're canceling events. And they are.
But don't you think it's because they weren't happy with Adam Silver's response to Daryl Morey? They've seen in their eyes, they've seen no response. There's been no repercussions for this outrageous tweet, which challenged this movement in Hong Kong.
They're unhappy with the NBA.
Clearly.
Right. So that's why they're doing what they're doing. And they're not. The NBA can't fire Daryl Morey and erase everything that's happened. So it's going to take diplomacy. And we talk in the 70s about ping pong diplomacy, which took place. This is some sort of, lottery ball diplomacy where they have to figure out a way to get this business back on track. And the reason I say that, it's big business for the NBA.
Oh, my gosh.
We're not.
Huge.
This is in the B. This starts with a B. This is Paul Giamatti territory.
Yep.
We're not just talking about millions of dollars where you can walk away from it if you're the NBA. A lot of the value of the assets. Joseph Tsai bought the Nets for $2.3 billion. And a big part of that is this NBA China business, which is why this issue is not going away anytime soon.
It definitely is. I was going to say it's Bobby Axelrod type of money there with the billions reference. It's getting worse. The G League games have been canceled. I think they're going to cancel this when they're canceled. From a American perspective, it's hard for me to understand. Not familiar. I've never been to China. Never really studied what's going on. I know there's some awful, horrific human rights violations. I know they try to stamp down religion. There's just a lot of things that aren't America, right? It's a communist country. So it's hard for me to understand how people in China would want to defend this, like Yao Ming, who played on the Houston Rockets, who, according to Adam Silver, who called him. I mean, I'm sure you talk about diplomacy. You're trying to get guys on your side that can help explain the differences in culture and different political views.
And Yao Ming
calls Yao Ming. And Yao Ming, according to Adam Silver, said our office, well, maybe it wasn't Adam Silver, maybe it was somebody in their office who has a relationship. Our office has communicated directly with Yao Ming, and he is extremely upset. I'm not sure he quite accepts how we are operating our business right now. And again, I accept that we are having a difference of opinion. He is extremely hot at the moment, and I understand it.
So Yao Ming is in China,
right,
running the Chinese Basketball Association. Do you think for 1 second Yao Ming is going to take a position that is against China and the government, right? Is that even something that people are sitting around thinking, I know what I'll do. I'm going to call Yao Ming because he played in the NBA. He got rich in the NBA. I am positive he's going to take our view on this. Come on.
Well, here's where I think it gets even more problematic. So I don't know if you saw the story, the 76ers pregame last night in the United States that was played. You had a couple fans, Sam Walks of Chestnut Hill and his wife attended Tuesday night's preseason game between the Sixers and this team from China, the Zhangzhou Long Lions of the Chinese Basketball
Association. Said that so awesomely.
Just got to say it with confidence. I have no idea if it's right. So Sam Walks and his wife were holding up signs that said Free Hong Kong and Free HK in reference to these protests. I'm sure this thing about this is total attention grabbing from Sam Walks, wherever. No offense to him, but this is definitely a play to get on TV. I don't think 2 weeks ago he was protesting.
So stop saying his name then.
Okay. All right.
Let's
so
just
this
give the
fan
example.
Goes, and you know what happens to him?
I assume he got kicked out.
He got kicked out in the U.S., where there is freedom of speech.
Wait.
And he was kicked out of the stadium, and they are now upset about it, saying, we were saying Free Hong Kong. What's wrong with that in America? That was this gentleman's response to the local station.
I've kicked out fans of the stadium, too, for holding signs. So I want to be
Political
very
signs
clear.
or
No. I hate
signs?
Samson signs.
Yes, exactly. Which I would too. That's your right to do that as an owner. But this is where this can of worms has been opened now.
Right.
And it's not because I guarantee you some other fans all of a sudden are going to be major protesters to Free Hong Kong, even though they probably had no idea.
You're allowed in the U.S. So the rules of engagement are very simple. We get to control when you come into our ballpark. We get to control what you bring in. If we say plastic bags only, it's plastic bags. If we say no liquid, it's no liquid. If we say no roast beef sandwich, it's no roast beef sandwich. We are in a democratic society, but guess what? I'm in charge of what happens in a ballpark if you choose to buy a ticket and come in. Now, it's your right not to go to a stadium. I get that, and plenty of Miamians exercise that right to not go to games. I get that too. But in terms of political signs, we would not allow them.
Yep.
It's because that's just, that's not our job. We're a sports team. We were not taking a position in any of the elections or any of the things going on locally.